Welcome to what I read in September and maybe a little bit of an October TBR, I don't know. I put this sweater on for your sake. It's definitely not fall here still, but it doesn't mean we're not gonna pretend. I'm used to it, I do it every year. And I have a sweet little stack of books to talk about for September. I really like the books that I read this month, kind of interesting, you know? Starting with one that I read last, actually. This is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. This cover is gorgeous, I love it. And the spine has the Book of the Month logo because this video is sponsored by Book of the Month and this book is from them, and they sent it to me early so that I could read it, which is so kind of them, and we're gonna be working with each other for a while because I'm obsessed with them. Now, I had no idea what to expect from this book because I couldn't really understand what it was about, but I knew that this author had written Fable and Namesake, which is like a young adult fantasy romance-ish series, and I know that it's popular and I've owned that for a long time, so I was like, okay, I kind of understand that. But this one, dang, okay, so I was about to say something that's not even in the synopsis of the book, which is so fun. Like, if you read, you'll be shocked. It'll be so great if you don't know anything. So just keep it that way. But basically, you're following June Farrow, and she is known to come from this family bloodline that all have this sort of curse on them. Every single woman in this family line ends up going crazy and like hearing things and seeing things that aren't really there. And she's determined to finally break this curse off and be the last one in the bloodline to ever experience this. And she's trying to get down to the bottom of what's going on. So it's kind of a mystery and you have no idea what is happening. It almost feels a little bit historical fiction-y at the beginning because she's on this farm and it's very slow and descriptive at first. It's really not that slow. I say that, but then I was like getting through the pages and not realizing that I'd gone to like 20 to 30 to 40 pages so quickly. And then once you get to like page 90, you really start to understand the story and it becomes exhilarating. Like, I had to just fly through this book. I wanted to know what was going on so bad. And then you also get the most amazing subplot of romance ever. It's like one of my new favorite romance, oh my gosh, what is it called? Tropes. One of my new favorite romance tropes I learned from this book. Well, two that I read this month. And I'm not going to say what the trope is because it's a very rare one and it's amazing. Like, you just have to read it for yourself. And if you are not subscribed to Book of the Month, if you don't know what they are, this is the cute blue box that your book will come in, and it's a subscription service where they have this whole team that will read books and then curate the best ones from like authors you may have never heard of before. They give you a few genres and then you get to choose your book for that month and then they ship it to you and you get a little bookmark as well. I also use the app on my phone, so every first of the month they reveal what all the books are for like fiction, romance, thriller, all these sorts of things, and it's such a thrill. And it's like seeing your artist drop a new album. Like, every first of the month I get so excited to see what they chose because it's always something like this where this is something out of my comfort zone that I absolutely loved. I forgot to say, I gave this like 4.25, maybe 4.5. I don't know. I have still thought about this book and I really love it, but I would have never found this on my own and I would have never trusted to actually read it. But I've read so many Book of the Month books so far that have been amazing, even if I've never heard of them before, and they do all that work for you through their curators. So if you aren't subscribed to them, I have this special little code, SPOOKY, for October, so that you can get your first hardcover book for $5. And then you can start collecting them. They'll look really cute on your shelves like this. Right there. Definitely pick this one up one way or another because I really want to see other people's reactions to it. Like, I think you will be shocked in the best way. Okay, going back to the first thing I read this month, which is always feels so long ago, but Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book in the Natural series. I feel like everyone on this internet platform has been reading this series this month, so I will not tell you what it is other than it's like a young adult Criminal Minds thing. I've never watched that show, so I don't know that comparison, but this one was definitely good. This is the first time in the series where I started to buy into the love triangle thing because in the first book, I was aware that she liked two guys, but I just didn't really know why she did, and I thought it was kind of no competition. This one I started rooting for both a little bit, which is the point of a love triangle, is you're supposed to not really know who you want to win, and the mystery had me flipping through the pages a little bit faster than the first book. So I still only gave this one 4 stars. I'm definitely not obsessed with the series or like super excited to continue it, but it's one of those just like tried and true. I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes, so when the time comes around where I don't know what to read and I want something quick and mystery, this is what I'll pick up. So then I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This one is such a special little read because I had watched this author's TikToks all the way back from like 2020 when she was sitting in her bedroom writing this book. I think she started writing this when she was 17 years old, which is so cool. And it's like a fantasy romance book where she took some inspo from the Hunger Games and from the Red Queen, not trilogy, it's like 4 or 5 books at this point. So that's really fun because fantasy romance is obviously like super popular right now, and I love things that are compared to Hunger Games because I usually end up loving them if they have some sort of like competition aspect. I'm starting to realize that that is definitely my book taste. So this is right up my alley, and I was so impressed with her writing. I was so relieved too because you never want to like follow someone's entire journey making a debut novel and then it be bad, you know? And this definitely wasn't. If anything, I was super impressed with how she writes books. I cannot believe that she's so young writing this. And ever since she's gotten picked up by Barnes & Noble, they're making a special edition, they're doing it. I've just like watched her whole journey, so there's like so much lore to this book for me, you know? So it's really special to get to read that. I think I just was kind of in a bookish slump in general when I read this, so it was kind of slower for me to get through because it is like 450 pages and a fantasy, but it was really easy to understand. It's enemies to lovers, so they're just like bantering back and forth the entire time, which is super fun. And I'm very excited for the second book to come out. I gave that one like a 4.25. Let me check. I've been enjoying the quarter ratings because at this point with reading so many books, you need quarter ratings. I just can't do without them. Okay, I gave that one 4 stars. Okay, next we have a book that ended the video that I was trying to film. Because I was trying to film, this video ends when I read a 5-star book, and I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston second, and my video was like 4 minutes long, and I read this book, fully like ignored this thing when it came out, didn't think it'd be interesting to me at all. I've ignored this author's books 2 years in a row. For some reason, didn't think I'd find it interesting because it's a little bit more like literary fiction or women's fiction with romance, and this one has like a little bit of a magical realism element, which I actually love magical realism, so I don't know why I overlooked this, but it's this apartment that can travel 7 years into the past or to the future. And I also really love stories where there's some magical element, but it's not very complicated. Like the point of the book is not to make it feel like a realistic thing. It's just like, oh, this apartment moved 7 years into the past sometimes. Will you ever understand why? No, but we're not gonna spend time trying to explain that because it's just for funsies, you know? I really like that. So yeah, read this book and it was 5 stars. I couldn't deny it. I was like, if this would be a 4.75 star book, then I could continue this video, but no. I couldn't stop thinking about the book. Also, they made an edition of this and it is so cute. So I looked it up and people are reselling it for like $200. It's painful, it's gonna make me cry. But yeah, that's just what happens when you read a 5-star book. Like you start looking up special editions, you start contemplating spending stupid amounts of money. I won't, trust me, I will not be buying that, but that is usually a surefire sign that this was a 5-star, not a 4.75. I love her writing. This book made me fall in love with the word golden and bright. He laughed brightly. I love her writing. If I become an author, I wanna write like her. Also, why'd this make me cry like twice? I don't think that was the point. Well, the main character is dealing with grief, so that's a factor, and she also lives in New York City and is in the publishing industry, which those two things also definitely set the atmosphere for the book. It felt like watching a good movie, and I think after reading this book, I started watching movies more because that's how it felt. So I love finding a good 5-star book. It's so great. But this ended my video so early, so I'm still filming that other one right now. We have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I've talked up a big expectation onto this book and its cute little sprayed edges. This is a young adult gothic fantasy romance, which just sounds amazing for the fall time. And I got like 120 pages in, which is a lot, possibly even almost halfway. And I just decided to put it down because I think that it would end up being like a 3 stars or less for me. And in that case, I didn't want to spend the hours finishing it for it to just be like a meh book. But it is one of those where I could like definitely see people really enjoying it and I could understand why. It just wasn't my type of book because I don't really like the, maybe I don't like gothic. I don't really know yet, but, and then I read this one so fast, I keep forgetting that I read it because I just haven't picked up like a classic rom-com in so long, but this is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I'd seen people raving about this for so long. There's like a very large group of people who love Abby Jimenez, and I'd read one book by her, the Happy Ever After playlist, I think it was, which was really fun and fresh at the beginning of the book, and then I really disliked the end of it. So I kind of was like, didn't know how I felt about this author, but everyone who talks about this book talks about how much they love the main male character and how he struggles with social anxiety or just general anxiety, and how it was so nice to like read about a character that you relate to. So I really wanted to read that because I feel like I've never seen that in a book before, and that definitely gave this book like a special edge to it, some insight on something that I just don't see that much. So it definitely was cute, and writing letters back and forth to each other was cute. They're set in like a hospital, or the ER actually maybe, so people were comparing it to Grey's Anatomy. So I was convinced. I picked it up and I gave it 4.25 stars, which is very high. Looking back, maybe a 4, because I can't remember, well, I can remember something. I would say maybe a 4. Dang, this entire month was like 4 stars or 5, which is probably because I was just DNFing books. If I got bored even in the slightest, I was like, okay, on to the next. So yeah, that was a great month of reading. I definitely think that if you read anything, it needs to be one of these 2 books. Like these are the only things I've been thinking about since reading them. Everything else has just like floated away from my brain, and and these two have remained. I would pay to sit in a room and watch your reaction to this book. That's how good it was. I'll tell you a few books that I want to read for October. The thing is that I don't really know. So this is kind of random, but I'm just gonna show you. The third book in this trilogy comes out in this month, and I'm so excited to read it. But I'm going to, I think, reread the first two books, Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. These are the UK editions, I believe. This is a 6-star series for me, but I honestly can't even remember that much. Like, my memory is really bad. I obviously remember the stuff that happened and why I love it, but I just need to reread it before reading the third book. These books are so magical, and even these covers show how magical they are. I've been listening to Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas on audiobook for like the entire month, so hoping to finish that because I'm basically trying to reread the first 3 books that I've already read like 2 years ago so that I can continue the series. I resisted it for a while, but I'm just admitting to myself that I at least need to listen to the audiobook so that I can finish the series because I really want to do that this fall. I've been picking my books very sporadically, so there's really not much telling what I'll do. This has been the shelf that I've been choosing from because it's like from my book haul. So there's a girl who I DM all the time on Instagram, you know who you are, and she convinced me to buy this book. It's called Crazy House by James Patterson. I know that James Patterson is mega famous as an author, and I've never read one of his books, so I would be down to read this. I just have no idea what it's about. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. I just don't know. It says on the front, you can stop waiting for the next Hunger Games. I don't know if it says that because this is Hunger Games themed or because this one came out before that trilogy was ended. It looks like a fall read. And then also this one is, oh, this kind of thick. Oh no, it's not bad. The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Peñaranda. Look at that cover. It's so cute. This one's kind of new, so I haven't really heard many people review it. So sometimes it's scary to be the first one to like really do that, you know, but I'm down. I don't really know what it's about. Look at this art on the inside. That's cool. That's convincing me a little bit more. That's all that's really on my radar for October because I have 2 main channel video ideas that will have me reading books that I have no idea what they're gonna be yet, and that should be very exciting. So that is all I have for you today. Don't forget to use that code and sign up for Book of the Month if you're not already subscribed to them, and I will see you guys somewhere else on the internet. Bye.